so I talked about some of my through lines there a few years ago, and now I actually have almost, yeah, I'm getting close to 50 years of working uh, in glass. So anyway, what let's see. Oh, come on. There we go. So the through lines really are world culture, spirituality, narrative, uh, and autobiography. What I have found, and probably um, many artists do, is that unconscious material uh, comes up through image making, and I kind of read myself through my work. And so, at this point in my life, I, kind of am asking myself, okay, what really is important? What do I want to do with the next years? And so I know two things. I really want to keep making art because it is how I um, continue to know myself in you know better, and it's how I see what I'm thinking and what's important. And also it's people. I and friends are very important to me. And this is an early piece that kind of spells it out too. It's called "I Receive a Great Blessing from the Sun and the Moon. I will be an artist and walk the path of beauty." So this is my mom. I'm going to give you a little background. She was a painter, and we had a lot of art materials around. So I got, I became, that's what I chose, because I think because I wanted to be like her. But the other important person that I want to talk about a little bit is Charlie, because he was my husband. He passed away 6 years ago. My mom died last January, so consequently, I'm really taking a deep look at, all right, what's next for me in these next years before I die. Um, and Charlie was my childhood friend, and we had a lot of similar interests. So we explored kind of uh, esoteric philosophy together. My mom and dad, my dad was a pioneer from the pioneer families. His father was a fur trapper through from Idaho up through British Columbia, and he met my mom, who's from Iowa. At the University of Washington, he was studying on the GI Bill, and my mom was getting a teaching certificate, and they got married, and they have 4 kids. My younger brother is not pictured here, but I'm 10 years old in the middle there, and my older sister Sarah is on the right, and my younger sister Molly on the left. And Peter was he was 4 at this time. So anyway, there are 2 years between the girls, and my first real experience with religion was at Trinity Parish in downtown Seattle. It's in the central area. My parents were Sunday school teachers. My Sunday school teacher was a poet, really cool woman, Eve Tram, smoked with a cigarette holder. She was so cool. Anyway, but it was this at this time the civil rights movement was in full swing, and my dad worked at Boeing and got transferred during one of the recessions. And when I was 1962, we moved to Huntsville, Alabama. You see it at the top of the map here. We were, my parents were liberal, progressive, people. And so it was really something to go to the deep South, the racist Deep South. And my mom got a subscription to the Southern Courier, which documented the civil rights movement in the South, but only existed for a couple of years. And we were on a family outing to visit the Capitol, Montgomery, when Martin Luther King was marching on Selma. We didn't bump into the march, but we got turned away by a white cop who basically told us to get the hell out. Which so anyway, but to me that was, it was a really a memorable. I remember that, and then as time passed, I think it's kind of amazing that I actually happened to be at that place at that moment. The other, formative thing at that time was the Vietnam War. And I was in high school when it was towards the end of the war, but some of my classmates, went to fight, and some didn't. The Charlie's draft number was high, so he didn't ever serve. But anyway, I wanted to show you, Charlie and I knew each other as kids. So I'm in the striped dress, and Charlie's got the big hair. And I went to Evergreen, and that was kind of the first time I really started looking at. I had, when I was in as an adolescent, I had kind of given up religion, as a lot of us did. Didn't make sense to me, but I turned out I was still interested in every other religion. So I did a lot of reading Sufi stories, and looking at the kind of the esoteric aspects of a lot of different religions. So there were the Sufis, and then I was very, started to read some Eastern philosophy and religion. And so I was interested also in Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama, and got interested in the feminine face of God. So all of the, the Black Madonnas and the Virgin of Guadalupe, and then this is Gurdjieff, G.I. Gurdjieff, who wrote, was reading Carlos Castaneda and Meetings with Remarkable Men by Gurdjieff. And my painting teacher was also interested in Gurdjieff. A few of us started to read. We read Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson, which is a tome, and very interesting. And then formed a study group, and that went on for a few years. And so at that point, I was studying at Evergreen. I had the opportunity to get credit for doing research. I had a summer job at a stained glass studio, and the guys at the studio suggested that I research glass painting, because I was a painter and printmaker. And so I did, and that really kind of turned out to be a very happy thing, because glass was really taking off in the Northwest, kind of unbeknownst to me. But anyway, so this is Bahram Gur Kills a Dragon. I taught myself really by looking at at other kinds of work and making a translation into glass. So, and then after a period of a couple of years of work, I really started to just develop my own kind of my own voice and vocabulary as a glass painter. So I did stained glass windows of fables, and worked in a square format. These were of some of them. This was an angel on a tightrope, and a devil riding a bicycle, which were basically kind of a play on Mexican folk art. I bumped into Pilchuck and a community of wonderful people who remain friends if they're still living. So here's Dick Weiss as a young man, and Patrick Ranchin's a British artist, myself, Jan Marish, a Czech engraver, Ann Troutner, Sonia Blumdahl, Susan Plum, and Walt Lieberman. All were our good friends. I met a lot of people and got the opportunity to show my work and to teach a little bit for a couple of years at Pilchuck in the 80s, and bumped into the glass blowers and started working narratively on a 3D surface. And just a couple of slides to show you the process. It's a line work. It's called tracery, and then a black wash is applied after the line work is fired, and it's smoothed with a badger brush and then incised with dry brushes, just scraped into, and it kind of looks like an etching, and then it gets, at this point, it's called grisaille gray tonal painting, and it gets fired. But here are some of the a couple of the pieces that I did when I started working with vessels. So I kind of have had these 10-year periods where I did stained glass for a while, then I did vessels for a while, and then I did public art for a while, and came back. But you can see I found a set of an artist, Norm Courtney, told me about some transparent enamels that were available through a distributor in Portland. And so I started adding color to the vessels. And at a pretty, after a year or so, I started, I did this, the work just started to become less decorative or from existing stories to sort of my making up stories. And this was one of those early ones, and I kind of recognized this as a self-portrait. It would had started with this little mermaid sun worshiping mermaid, but I recognized it as a, representing kind of my longing for the divine, for something beyond. And a couple slides to show you a little bit about how I sometimes will start an image, is to just kind of go look at stuff and see what inspires me, or what I like, or what things pop out, and it just is a way to kind of stimulate my thinking. And occasionally, so for example, this is a Russian folk print, and I at the time my dog was about 12, and I started worrying about him dying, and so I painted him, and this sort of was the beginning of real biography or autobiography, or like family members showing up in my work. This is another example of looking at something and it's sparking an idea. So this is a historical figure seated on the lap of a mother goddess. And so I wanted that for myself. So here I am as an artist, like pulling a vase down from a shelf, assisted by the mother goddess. And then this is an Assyrian bas-relief of a genie with a pine cone sprinkler. My first husband, Jonathan, was a science teacher and had a collection of pine cones. And so this is kind of, how I morphed those ideas into something more personal. I was painting my dog and myself into a lot of the work. So here's the Noah's Ark, and I'm there with Canis. I started exploring Hindu mythology, and so here's Lord Shiva grants me a boon. So I'm asking for Canis to be my perpetual animal companion. Years, the goddess Parvati leads me to a deeper understanding of the feminine principle. My life with Lord Krishna, my first marriage was kind of falling apart, and so I was kind of treating these pieces as like little invocations for transformation in my own life. This is me and Lord Krishna standing in the great waters. And I did fall in love with Charlie. I bumped into my childhood friend, and we did fall in love, and we got married. And so this is kind of a continuation of this one's called Dream Tapestry, and it's about, how we basically work with the cosmic forces to kind of create our life. So I'm the weaver, and the tapestry is my life, and it's kind of wrapping, so the direct duration of the vessel is the tapestry, and you can see the warp threads are coming down from this little goddess in the sky. And I've imagined me and Charlie as a god and a goddess stepping down into, the landscape of my life. This is Hamid Ali. His pen name is A.H. Almas, and he was is the teacher of an esoteric school called the Ridwan School. And Charlie and I studied in that. We joined that school and worked with the teacher, and we did retreats a couple times a year, and then the summer we would go to a retreat with Hamid and the rest of students in the school. So it'd be, I don't know, 1,000 people or something attending these conferences in the summer. But anyway, it was about really practicing presence and having exploring really what an exquisite sense of what is in the present moment. And the teachings would be like Dharma talks, where you would explore what keeps you from being present. Anyway, so it's kind of therapy is what it was. But anyway, eventually we stopped going to the Ridwan stuff because we needed our money to run a political campaign, but continued our exploration. And this is Rudolf Steiner. And so Charlie had studied Theosophy, and Alice Bailey, super complicated. But anyway, we landed with Anthroposophy and Rudolf Steiner. And I'm still interested in his work and study his work. And his view is that the cosmos is a spiritual reality, and that human beings are evolving through long time, deep time, and as are all the hierarchies of spiritual beings. So including, minerals, plants, animals, and the angelic hierarchies, and planets, and the sun, and, anyway, it's a huge view. So anyway, the work, I'm looking at these things in my work as well, and kind of reflecting on what I'm reading and learning. This is about meditation, though. This is just kind of very basic. It's called I Do Battle with My Evil Eyes on the Ground of Being. So that's like, the negative voices that you notice when you're when you're alive. But if you're meditating, you start seeing your thoughts. And this is the witnessing self. So this is the ground. And this is searching for the bodhisattva. My dog Canis is still here, but his sense died, so he's in the spirit realm. I'm the angel with a spyglass, and this was Charlie and I got pregnant. I had some miscarriages, so these pieces were about searching for that child. And then this is kind of the resolution of that. It's called I am suckled by Kali, Mother of the Universe. So, and this is, yes, how we get nurtured by the hard things, the difficult things. This is about the self waking up. This is called, I dreamed that I entered the garden of the soul, but it's basically kind of like your higher self waking. anyway, this is Charlie and me as Adam and Eve, but so the vessel itself is like the realm of the earth, I guess. And it's the decoration around the vase is the garment of the feminine divine. And anyway, around the edge are scenes from my life, starting with a little figure in a peapod boat. That's Cappy, and this is my family life. And it goes on. Here's the sunny arms where I live. Here's me riding on a mermaid off towards the future, and there's Charlie is up here, and here's the temple of the soul. So, all right. And here's we are sailing in the sea of possibilities toward our next bright new beginning. And public art. So this is working on the big piece at SeaTac. So it's same thing, but just writ large. And the panels were fired in a tempering plant. So the painting was done on sheet glass, and then stained glass was glued behind it, and then installed as insulated window units out at SeaTac. And so this is at the end of the A concourse. And again, same kind of content. It's basically, the cosmos, that the animal constellations of the Northern Hemisphere, but its title is I Was Dreaming of Spirit Animals, and the sun and the moon and the stars. And you can see it from the exterior at night. Actually, they're building out there, so I'm not quite sure what it looks like. They've got something, but it still looks really great from the inside. And this is the piece at the at Evergreen. I imagine us as a holy family engaging in the great work of increasing the light. So you can see, actually, I've been talking about this stuff forever. It's my subject. And this is called Gathering the Light. It's at the Museum of Glass in Tacoma. So envisioning, it's sort of allegorical about the museum, but also it's about the the spirit world and how it interacts with us and inspires us. Yeah, I want to talk just for a little bit about working with Dick in clay. We painted side by side for quite a long time at Pottery Northwest for the month of December for a number of years. And so here it was a way for me to actually re-engage with my ideas after doing big projects for a few years, and then trying to come back to just making personal work again. Although I guess it's always been personal, but anyway, you can see the same themes. This is me painting an angel, and this is, working back and forth between working out a drawing in clay and under glazes, and then coming back to glass. So these are wall paintings, but basically you can tell it's all the same technique and just a little different presentation. They're backlit with brushed aluminum, so they kind of have a lot of light in them, but they're not light. They're not backlit. It's called Love Intoxicated. Yeah, so here we worked, so you can kind of see how we're looking at the kinds of the stuff in my library, and Dick will bring in some things, and I'll start a painting, he'll start a painting. We pass them back and forth. And Dick has a lot of, there's a kind of a graffiti aspect to what he brings to it, and he's a much looser painter, so there's a lot of kind of more painterly dripping and splashing that goes on, which I have learned a lot from, and I like to drip and splash now too. And if the form was all of these forms were made by a third, by another artist. So if it's a slab, Dick and I made it, and if it's anything that requires more skill, somebody helped. So yeah, Meg Murch did the head. She has made some wonderful things for us to paint on. So yeah, just so you can kind of see, it's interesting how the two voices play off of each other, and it's been a real wonderful kind of learning part of my life. But I still see myself, coming through. It's like, what are my through lines? They're all through everything. Oh, and that I wanted to let you know that's a head that Meg did, and I painted the kind of the tattooed tree, and then Dick and I worked on the rest of the head together. This is the moon. Both of us painting on everything. This is the sun. Again, both of us painting on everything. And then here are a few pieces that I stopped wanting to work with black. So I had a residency at the Museum of Glass, and so these are kind of monochromatic, or mostly monochromatic, all with transparent color, no real black. It's a transparent gray that you see here. And these are all transparent colors. And then I worked with just light, but doing some little engraved pieces. But you can see the themes carry through. And then the last body of work, which is where I still am, are these pieces. They're sheets, full sheets of glass that are, I paint a complex wash and size a drawing into it with a engraving needle, and then work back with dry brushes. So it's a similar technique, but there's no line work. It's really a white line drawing. It's a scratch drawing pretty much. But I did them, and they're all these celestial scenes. And I did these the year before Charlie died. And he died suddenly and unexpectedly from a really fast cancer. But I really was happy that I had made these paintings. This one's called Heaven, and this one's called Tree Keeper. So I'm getting more explicit about trying to express the world as a kind of I don't want to, I almost want to call it a transparent reality between, this, material and more ephemeral spiritual reality, which I think is there. Yeah. So this one's called Constellations. This one's called Guide. And I did actually a commission for a lovely person who wanted a big piece for these two paintings face each other on an outdoor covered balcony. So this is called Day Garden, and this one is Night Garden. And then, yeah, this is the last painting I'm going to show you, and it's called Dive. And I just did this within the last year. And yeah, kind of it's about how I feel about this life we're in right now. And this is the view from my mom's room, where she spent the last couple of years. She was bedridden for about 2 years before she died, but man, she had this incredible changing, shimmering view. And now I get to go there. I share it with my family. And so I look at this. It's Mount Rainier there, kind of poking out on a sunrise. And with that, I've come to the end